Harlan cautiously pushes the door ajar and steps into the room. Inside, he finds a young woman's lifeless body lying on the floor. A somber realization dawns as he notices two figures on the bed, an adult man and an adult woman, both motionless beneath the sheets. Adjacent to the dying baby catches his eye. She and her father go out right away looking desperately for little Amber. When last Ricky saw her, she was no further than the corner store 2 blocks away. Amber is nowhere to be found, but one man saw exactly what happened and called 911. This is 10-year-old Amber Daniels, bravest girl. She was kidnapped, abused, along with her 2 younger sisters, survived, outsmarting her captor. She went on to and made sure the man responsible would pay for what he took from her. At 5 a.m. on December 4, 1997, in the early morning calm of Bacon County, a local farmer was tending to his fields when he encountered an unexpected sight. But even if her case remained unsolved for 28 years, her mother vowed that Amber's death would not be in vain. The deputy checks the rest of the house, discovering another horrifying scene in one of the kids' rooms. A little boy lays motionless in his bed, dead. Back in the police station in Bacon County, investigators ask the 3 little girls what happened. Who is the oldest, starts to tell her story and reveals a name that will change everything. She tells them that she was taken here that night by a man named Scott. In 1995, 8-year-old Amber resides with her biological mother, Kim, from alcohol addiction. Amber and her siblings experienced multiple placements due to Kim's inability to care for them. However, Kim remained steadfast in her determination. Danny and Kim got married, bringing together his teenage daughter, Jessica, and her 3 kids, Bryant and Amber, all under one roof. The aspiration of providing a supportive home for her children was becoming reality. Just a few years before, it was her who needed assistance for her children. Now that Kim was sober with a stable home, she was give back and open her doors to foster children, creating an environment of her own. Amber remembers from a young age how her family started to welcome foster children. One of the first children the Daniels welcomed was a young girl named Joanne. Joanne's would be allowed to come over for visits, often accompanied. It's now 1997. They have a full house, with 3 foster children added to their original 4. As the holidays approach, they look forward to a festive time together, as the family has already Christmas tree. It's December 4th, only a few weeks before Christmas. Amber is sleeping peacefully like a night when suddenly she's woken up. Even though she hasn't seen him in years, the little girl recognizes Amber is in shock. In the distance, she can hear her siblings cry in the other room. Jerry tells her they must leave the house immediately. Harlan cautiously pushes the door ajar and steps into the room. Inside, he finds a young woman's lifeless body lying on the floor. Somber realization dawns as he notices 2 figures on the bed, an adult man and an adult woman, both motionless beneath the sheets. Adjacent to them, a crying baby catches his eye. Jerry firmly grasps Amber's arm and guides her down the hallway. The young bewildered in parents' whereabouts. that her mom and dad and that they've already left with the other children, and they've told him to get her and her their young sisters, Amanda and Brooke. But just before they leave the front door, and sees her 4-year-old brother, Corey, hiding underneath the kitchen table. She and her father go out right away, looking desperately for little Amber. When last Ricky saw her, she was no further than the corner store. In the distance, she hears her baby Gabe crying. They all get inside as he tells them he's taking them to their parents. He continues to drive down the deserted road. The girls become increasingly worried and begin to cry, not knowing where they're going. He then forces himself on 10-year-old Amber. When Jerry finally stops, he orders Amber to put back on. The little girl obeys while her attacker gets out of the car and wheel. Without any words, Jerry starts to again. At 5 a.m. on December 4th, 1990, the three sisters remain silent, gripped by terror and shock as they follow his lead with trepidation. Amber's mind races with questions about their destination. Abruptly, the car halts. Amber discerns their... With a chilling realization, Jerry seizes the gun and compels Amber Brooke of the van. He keeps threatening them with the gun while he walks closer and closer to the edge of the bridge. But unexpectedly, Jerry throws the gun over the bridge and into the water. The three barefoot children start to run away from the van. Behind them, Jerry tells them to stop and come back. Amber hears him chasing after them, and she increases her pace. Her attacker is bigger than her and her sisters, but Amber still hopes they can outrun him. But Jerry is closer and closer behind Brooke and violent arm. Amber is forced to make an impossible choice. Jerry ordered them back into his truck and began driving them away from the house. Everyone stood beside his car drive away. They didn't dare move. They could no longer see his car light. After counting 65 seconds, Amber told us to run. As they ran along the road, they saw a remote farmhouse in the distance, but suddenly headlights shined directly on them, and the car slowed down, and Amber knew a man emerges from the car. It's not her attacker. Instead, a farmer steps out and immediately offers her assistance. Amber briefs, urging her sisters to come out from spots. They're ushered to safety. With a stable home, she was eager to give back and open her doors to the man contacted the police, and the local sheriff came and took the three girls to the police station. Amber looked around the room and that the adults and other members of her family were all dead. Only now did she realize that what her younger brother was true. Her mother is no... After everything she went through tonight, Amber fell into a state of shock and learned her mother and stepped away. She started crying. Remembers from a young age how her family started to welcome foster children. One of the first the Daniels welcomed was a young girl named Joanne. Joanne's biological would be allowed to come over for visits, but Amber knows who did this and she wants sure he is captured and brought to... She tells officials the crucial piece of information, the name of the man responsible, Jerry Scott Heidler, the brother of one of the foster children, and would come by to the Daniel. Investigators believe earlier that night, at around 1 a.m., before Jerry abducted Amber and her two younger sisters, he infiltrated the Daniels family home. He then went to the oldest daughter, 18-year-old Jessica, and attempted to make advances on her. Detectives believed she must have retreated, running to the safety of her parents' bedroom. Jerry, having been to multiple times before, navigated the cabinet where the family stored their... Seizing the fire, Jerry proceeded to enter the parents' bedroom, murdering girl Jessica, the two adults, Kim and Danny, and 8-year-old Brian, before running out of ammunition. With all of Amber's details and their physical evidence crime scenes, they have enough information to make the arrest. Evading capture nowhere to be found. Police all available resources to track him. Investigators suspect he'd be hiding in his mother's home in Alma, Georgia. Only crime scene. Several police officers are en route to Jerry's mother's address. However, upon no sign of him anywhere. Their search extends around the outside of the house until they find him.